Welcome to the SusTalk Podcast. I'm Susumu Araki, and it's draft season. One of my favorite times in all of the sports calendar. It's so great. The NFL draft is coming up next week. I'm so happy about this. And joining me to have an official mock draft of the first round, I'm joined by the co-hosts of the Third Floor Lounge here on the HSP Network. I'm joined by my buddy Jimmy and his friend Bill. Jimmy, Bill, thank you so much for hopping onto this podcast. I really appreciate it. Let's go drafting.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So we discussed this heading into this. So we're going to skip the first two picks because it's pretty obvious who the first two picks are. Trevor Lawrence going to the Jaguars and Zach Wilson going to the Jets, even though I still feel like Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft. And I feel like I understand the hype behind Wilson, but I still feel like we've only seen a year of this guy. But, you know, we've the arm angles that this guy's able to throw at and his ability and what he put up last year that's a lot to take in. But
yeah,
it's, to me, the draft really starts at pick number 3 with San Francisco, because there's still this cloud of uncertainty with who they're going to pick. We know they're going to pick a quarterback. It's pretty obvious at this point that they're going to. Like, if they decided, hey, we're going to pick Jamar Chase instead, that would be the real shocker here. But between any of the rest of the three, like Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and Justin Fields, it seems as though it's leading between mostly Mac Jones and Trey Lance. So what do you guys think heading into this? Before we go into that, like when they made this trade, what was your reaction?
You know, obviously, like we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo take this team to the Super Bowl before, but obviously they just weren't completely thrilled with if he could really, you know, get a quarterback to take it to that next level. So obviously that's what they're looking for in this draft. And in my opinion, like, I don't think Mac Jones is really the pick in that situation. If you're really looking for a quarterback to take this team to the next level, like, in my opinion, I really don't think it would be Mac Jones at all. I would think it would be someone like a Trey Lance, like a Justin Fields, someone that's super mobile, obviously, and can also, sling it down the field. So obviously it's going to be a project. I mean, not going to be starting the first year, as we would assume. Obviously, Garoppolo will be starting week 1. But, you know, those two guys, you know, are the clear answer for me. I would be shocked if Mac Jones went at 3.
Yeah, honestly, like, it's just about a head coach that was fed up with his quarterback. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, the 49ers were arguably the more talented team when they lost the Super Bowl, but Jimmy Garoppolo was just not the guy to lead them all the way. You know, he could have made that throw at the end, gave them the lead, but he just wasn't it. And I think he just wants a new quarterback because he's in a really hard division. Like, the NFC West is the hardest division in the league easily, with the best teams. All of them have good quarterbacks now. Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray. So if you have the worst quarterback in your division,
this guy,
probably not going to win. Yeah, that guy.
Of course, it falls on Kia, right?
Yeah, if you have the worst quarterback in your division, it's going to be very hard to win the division every year. So they're just hoping that they can find a quarterback. I really have no clue who they're going to pick. Like, I think they've disguised it well, but anyone they take, I think, could be better than Garoppolo.
See, that's the thing though, is that I honestly think that if they pick Mac Jones, who I'm so unimpressed by Mac Jones, and maybe it's partially because when you look at the Alabama offense, you kind of think, God, this guy has so many tools. He has one of the best offensive lines, one of the best receivers to throw to, a running back that he can rely on to create space and keep defenses honest. It's tough to judge how good someone is when they have all those resources at their disposal. Like, I think what made Tua so like popular and very much like tantalizing as a prospect is that I think he was just a lot more flashier, and by that, like, he was able to make plays, and we saw it. Like, we saw the talent. And like with Mac Jones, I just think to myself, like, I just feel like he was coasting on the fact that he had all those resources available to him, and he took advantage. But he's not like a flashy guy. Maybe that's why I'm not impressed with him. But I think if you're San Francisco, it's like for now, like we're just gonna get right to it because like if I had the third pick, I have the third pick in San Francisco. I guess I'm taking Mac Jones because I've read all these comps that said that Mac Jones is comparable to Matt Ryan, and I guess Kyle Shanahan wants another Matt Ryan.
Got it. So I guess I'll go next with the Falcons. I totally agree. Yeah, it's like Mac Jones. If Kyle Shanahan really liked Matt Ryan and he wants Mac Jones, like, and he'll fit in that system well, and he can be coachable, like that's not a bad pick. So I guess with the Falcons, you know, this is a really tough one because you pick Mac Jones. And like Justin Fields is there, and it seems like the Falcons need a future quarterback, even though Matt Ryan is still good. And I think he'll still be good for at least another 5 years or something. So I'm actually going to go with Kyle Pitts because I think he's the most talented, like skill player in the draft. And I really think that he would really help that offense a lot,
Kyle
definitely go. No, you can go first, assume.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good.
I was just like, God, Kyle Pitts. Like, are we really drafting a tight end at like the top 5? Like, it's so unconscionable to me. But when you watch like what everybody has said about Kyle Pitts and all the highlights that we've seen of him, he is a generational talent at the tight end position.
Yeah.
It's just so unconscionable that like I think the last time that a tight end was drafted this high was like Vernon Davis at like number 6 or number 8.
Yeah, it never happens. It's crazy.
Yeah, and like obviously you think about it too. Like they lost Austin Hooper. He was a big cornerstone for them, but then they traded for Hayden Hurst. Hurst was obviously like he was a decent tight end, pretty good for fantasy wise. But like we said, this Kyle Pitts is totally different. This guy could be a transcendent talent at the position. And you still have targets like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and that's what makes me think that they wouldn't go receiver here. Why tight end would make a little more sense for that offense.
So, Bill, you wouldn't possibly you didn't think at all to try to, if you're the Falcons, try to trade down, right? You didn't think at all like.
I think that might actually be good for them, hypothetically. I mean, they're a team that needs more depth at many of their positions. And if they're not going QB, if they feel like they're confident that Matt Ryan is going to be good for another 4 years or something, like they have their quarterbacks, so they need to win. So just get more talented players. So maybe trading down would be good, especially if you have another team desperate for a quarterback, like maybe the Broncos or something. That actually might be a decent option for them as well.
Yeah. I like the idea of it. It's like you have Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and then Kyle Pitts. All those guys just that at their disposal. Like Matt Ryan he only just needs to get the ball out essentially and just make sure that his arm is, at least at the level that he's always had it for years. So I hope personally, I hope the Falcons do trade down. Because I agree with you. They need more pieces. Like it's like a depth problem with them. Like the way that they're going to be able to rebuild and build around like Matt Ryan, they need to like replenish their defense. They need to replenish their offensive line. It's just everything all around the rest of the team. Like you could get another skill, like a playmaker like Kyle Pitts. And I get it, but fix the team first and then get the star skill talent that you need.
All right. Think about Arthur Smith too. I mean, he's taken over as head coach. I don't mean to interrupt at all, but he's taken over as head coach. This is a guy that's been big. I think about the Titans with tight ends, Jonnu Smith, Fursker. They've had a couple of pretty good guys in that offense that they found different ways to utilize. Jonnu Smith has been in the backfield before. So maybe you could see similarities with that with Kyle Pitts in Atlanta too. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jimmy, you have the 5th pick. If you're the Bengals, where do you go?
Yeah, and honestly, like this is a team that I think has had a pretty solid offseason. Like getting Hendrickson, that nice interior lineman from the Saints, and trying to rebuild that defense right now. But this is an interesting spot too, because obviously, look, not looking for a quarterback. And in my opinion, I don't think they really have to look for a receiver either, because I think guys like Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, obviously the letting go of AJ Green in that offense showed that they're more than comfortable with those two at the helm. They're really established route runners. So as much as Burrow would love to reunite with his former teammate Jamar Chase, I think Sewell from Oregon, obviously this guy's one of the best prospects from the offensive tackle position. Now, they would have to do some moving around. Jonah Williams obviously was a high pick from them a few years ago, but he's also dealt with injuries. So you could possibly see a situation, try to kick him out to right tackle and bring in Sewell at left, because obviously this guy's a transcendent talent. He didn't play last year, as we know, but to still be regarded as one of the top picks in the draft through all of that, it's pretty outstanding to say the least, and you don't want to miss out on a guy like that. Also, protect Burrow. He got hurt towards ACL last year, so you want to protect your franchise quarterback.
All right, I locked in the Sewell pick. Like I was reading a lot of stuff too that like this guy is going to be an elite tackle. Like he has all the traits necessary to become like a guy that's going to anchor an offensive line for at least 5 to 8 years. And that's really what you're looking for. Like you're looking for a Bakhtari type. You're looking for a Joe Thomas. You're looking for a DeBrickashaw Ferguson type. You're looking for someone that's going to be on your line for 8+ years.
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to have your quarterbacks back. I was hoping that maybe he might drop down to the Dolphins because, like, we've heard some rumblings. Like, maybe the Bengals might shock us and they might not be thinking properly to just draft Jamar Chase just because. Hey, look, Joe, it's your buddy Jamar here. The LSU connection.
I totally agree. Like, I like the Bengals would be so dumb to draft a receiver there. It's just like you need that guy who's paired with Burrow for the next 10 years. Like, just pick the sure thing at offensive tackle in Penei Sewell. Like I was reading an article that he's one of the best offensive lineman prospects in the last 10 years. It's like what he did at Oregon was insane, and he did opt out last year, so we didn't really see another season from him. But just take the sure thing. He's a guy that will be there for the next 10 years with Joe Burrow protecting him. Like just take that guy, and if the Bengals truly do take Jamar Chase there, they're just a failure as an organization, you know. They're just a failure at that point.
And obviously, we're assuming that like we're doing this without the trade ups because Justin Fields still being on the board right now is like kind of crazy within itself. So like, I hope we see some crazy trade up right now. But like, yeah, like we said, like Atlanta and the Bengals, like, are they really in a situation to take him? You know.
See, this is where I have the situation here. I have the 6th pick, and there's a lot of trade up possibilities. Here's the following teams that could do something: Denver, New England, even not Oakland, Las Vegas, Washington, and Chicago. They could do something here. I feel like with either Fields or Trey Lance, it's now become kind of like a who's the next guy, next guy up that's going to get drafted at this spot, at least at this point in the draft. So what I've been doing for like the past while is if I was the Falcons, I would have traded down and I would trade up. I would trade with the Broncos and get some picks. So I feel like Miami is like they're still thinking like, hey, let's figure something out. Let's try to get a quarterback here. So I'm going to say the Dolphins will trade down with the Denver Broncos.
I like it.
They'll get the 9th pick because, okay, aside from Detroit and Carolina, what else are they really losing here? Like,
yeah.
I think they are looking for a receiver, but if you get either one of the 3 receivers, like it's fine. Like, you know, so I would say what's a good compensation for this? They're the Denver's 4th pick in this year's draft and their 2nd pick next year.
Yeah.
Or do you think I need to bump it up to a number 1?
It's up to you. It's your trade. I think.
I think another number 1 would probably be in the top there.
That's where I was leaning.
Yeah,
definitely if you're trading within the top 10, you have to give up some bread.
Yeah, so we will trade the 9th pick, their 4th pick, and their 1st round pick next year to get up and trade with Miami. There we go.
There it is. That's beautiful.
All right, so this is where they take Justin Fields.
There it is. Okay, I was interested to see. Like, I didn't know if you were going to go Lance or Fields there.
So again, I love Fields. I don't understand why everybody has been attacking him across the media. Like everybody has had something. Like he's been kind of like the whipping boy, so to speak. for like media critiques, because you're not really hearing the stuff about Zach Wilson or Mac Jones or even Trey Lance for that matter, which is weird. Like because Fields, we've seen him for 2 to 3 years. We've seen what he can do on the field. We know that this guy was so close to getting a national championship win last year. Well, it's not winning it, but like he got them to the national championships this past year with a rib injury that he suffered in the semifinal game, which I was immediately thinking like, oh my God, Joe Burrow also got injured. It's like, it's going to happen again. They're going to win a championship because their quarterback got injured or something. So I just thought like it's kind in some ways that I don't understand why everyone keeps picking on Fields, but I just see like this guy is so athletic. This guy has the size. This guy has the speed. I love that. Like he has elite athleticism. So that to me is what I'm looking at. If you're Denver, you get to start with this guy. Look at your receiving core. You have Jerry Jeudy. You have Noah Fant. You have Cortland Sutton. And you also have Melvin Gordon in the backfield. So like your offense actually looks really good right now. And then the only other thing they need to do is just patch up their defense.
Yeah, I totally agree with Justin Fields particularly. Like this guy was the best guy coming out of high school. Like he was the best QB prospect coming out of high school. He went to college. He plays for Ohio State. You know, he's playing the highest competition in Division I football, and he's balling out, you know, the whole time. He goes to the semifinal game and like throws, I don't know, 5 or 6 touchdowns. He dominates Clemson, like a great defense. You know, he's playing better competition than Zach Wilson. He looks better. You look at the guys who are really good in the NFL right now, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, like guys that can throw and run and like have that physicality, like have all those elements. And Justin Fields looks like one of those quarterbacks that is succeeding in the NFL right now. Like he just has that look, you know, a guy that can use his legs, a guy that has a big arm. So it's like, I totally agree. I'm shocked that Justin Fields would fall this far, but he probably will because of all this stuff about Mac Jones coming out of San Francisco. But I guess to move on to the Lions, this one is a pretty easy one for me. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. You know, you're getting, I think, the best wide receiver in the draft, even though we didn't see Jamar Chase play last year because he opted out, but he's the biggest one out of the 3. You know, he was really physical in college. You know, he has some speed. So I think that's an easy one for me. Jamar Chase. The Lions could use a skill guy because they just lost Galladay. So
they don't have anybody, by the way. Can you name like any skill guys besides DeAndre Swift? Like
I don't think so. No.
TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, TJ Hawkinson on that offense, because I can't think of anybody. I was talking about this last night with a friend. Marvin Jones gone. Kenny Galladay's gone. Okay, like now Jared Goff's there. I don't know what is going on there. So yeah, no, that is a absolute must with Chase.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion.
I mean, they're also depending on Brashard Perriman too. Like I think they signed him up for like a 1-year deal.
Yeah, that's a little
scary. He has upside, but he always gets hurt.
He can run down a field really fast for like 20 yards.
Very fast. Hey, he was a first-round pick. Just remember.
Literally.
Caught some touchdowns for the Jets. Yeah, let's go. I'm pretty sure he was partially the reason why they beat the Rams.
And the Browns.
No. The Browns was like, that's different. The Rams, we can still laugh at the Rams because like they were at full strength.
Oh yeah.
They were at full strength. They have no excuses. The Browns, they actually had an excuse. They were down, like their whole receiving core was
nobody was there that game.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Like who were they tossing to? Some practice squad guys. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, when Sean McVay saw that, he was probably like, all right, this is Goff's last year here.
Yeah. Oh, that's like another rabbit hole.
That's another story to tell.
We get to the Panthers. Jimmy,
moving on, I'll go to the Panthers pick right now. And I'd say a couple mock drafts of people taking quarterbacks in this situation. I saw one with Mac Jones going here. You know, obviously that's not even doable here, but I don't think. I think with Sam Darnold, like I think he's going to find a way to flourish in that offense. They have good pieces there, so why not focus on defense a little bit? Micah Parsons right here, linebacker out of Penn State. Seems like a great pick to me. Look, haven't really had that leader on defense. Obviously, since Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly have been gone, really could use that linebacker presence there. Shaq Thompson, obviously, he's a very talented guy, very fast linebacker. Only problem is he's also dealt with injuries of his own. And, that's something I feel like they really need because now they found their offensive identity. Matt Rule, I think, is a pretty good head coach, doesn't get as much credit as he should for the season that they had last year. But like I said, got the identity on offense, got McCaffrey coming back. Now you focus on defense and just try to shore some things up there because they got a lot of speed on that defense with Brian Burns, Dante Jackson, kind of on all three levels. If you look, and Parsons could kind of be that final piece to the puzzle to really bring everything together.
What's interesting about the Panthers is that they focused their entire draft last year on shoring up their defense. They picked Derek Brown to anchor their interior line. And with this pick, they get another guy that really solidifies their linebacking core. Like the Panthers have actually had a nice long history of great linebackers.
Yeah. Julius Peppers. A couple other guys too, right?
Dan Morgan, I remember, he was also like a pretty good linebacker for them for a long time.
Yeah, and as we said, Thomas Davis. I mean, what a longevity of a career he had. Kuechly, a bunch of guys.
Yeah, so I think it was a smart plan, a smart move for at least for Rule to just focus on the defense and get that done. Now he has his quarterback that he can work with. He has receivers, even though they lost Curtis Samuel. And you mentioned Christian McCaffrey. So I would have liked it. Okay, out of all these teams, I would have loved Kyle Pitts to be drafted by the Panthers out of all the teams. Because now you have Darnold tossing to Kyle Pitts, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore. Could you imagine that? I would love to watch that offense. That offense is already exciting. Like now, he has all these weapons. And I'm not sure about the offensive line. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I'm not too sure how I feel about their offensive line yet, but I'm optimistic about Darnold's season. And I like your pick here with Parsons. Like, just shore up the defense and keep adding to it because you have pieces on offense to move the ball down the field. Now you just need to shore up a defense with talent that's going to stop the opposition. And moving on to Miami with the 9th pick, I traded down, and I'm thinking they take Jalen Waddle, wide receiver from Alabama. And I legitimately thought maybe, and this is what happens with Reese when I watched it in the moment. I thought Devontae Smith was so good that he should have been drafted with third overall by the Miami Dolphins. I legitimately thought that for like a month until everybody started to actually look into everybody. I feel like Smith's value is slowly declining, and he might not be drafted until at earliest the 12th pick. So the reason I chose Waddle over Smith is because when you look at Miami's receivers, when you look at who their pass catchers are, what's one trait that they're missing? Because with Devontae Parker, Gesicki, Preston Williams, like Devontae Parker, big dude, that guy can catch in traffic. Gesicki, same thing. Preston Williams, not sure what exactly he's good at, but definitely not speed. It's not speed, and that's what Jalen Waddle provides. Elite speed. And everybody has been looking for a Tyreek Hill type receiver. They need someone that has game-changing speed that can either get down the field or be shifty enough to really get creative on offense, try different plays like sweeps, do little dump-off passes. And I think with Waddle, especially with the fact that he has played with Tua before, they already have a little bit of connection there. And I think if you're a team and you're trying to build up an offense, having a diversity of skill sets at the receiver position is so important. You can't have like all your receivers be big receivers who can catch in traffic. You need one guy that's either going to be shifty, one guy that has speed, and one guy that can catch in traffic. And with Parker being the guy that catches in traffic, you need someone with the speed, and that's why I'm going with Waddle, despite his injury history.
Yeah, I agree. I like Waddle over Smith as well, just because like he's a bit bigger. And I'd say Devontae Smith, like that's his only issue right now is like he's just got to put on like 10, 15 pounds. Like he looked like the best receiver in college football last year. You know, he was the best receiver in college football last year, winning the Heisman. So the field, what the look on the field is right, you know, that's there. It's just like NFL teams are often hung up on like, you know, weight and height and stuff, and like whether, you know, the physical part is there, because you go to the NFL and guys are way bigger than they were in college. So that's obviously something that teams will weigh continuing, you know, going into this week. So now with the Cowboys, this one's a really interesting one, because you have Jerry Jones, who really likes his flashy offensive players. He likes to pick players at times when he shouldn't, when he should go for a defensive guy, or like an offensive tackle, you know, something that adds that really depth and that important part to the team rather than just the flash. But I think the Cowboys are going to be smart here. They're going to pick Patrick Surtain II. They already have good offensive weapons: CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Elliott. They have Dak. You know, they have a good offense. They have all the offensive pieces in place, so they don't need another wide receiver. They could use a cornerback, and that's especially good with Patrick Surtain, who looked like a really good cornerback in college, and obviously his dad was a good corner. So I think they're going to take Patrick Surtain. I think that they're going to really see that it's important to help their defense in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, like, you know, the uncertainty with Trayvon Diggs right now, that's not helping matters at all. So you're definitely going to want something to solidify a secondary that could be possibly losing someone for next season. Who knows what's going to happen in the legal process there. But I will say this, as a Giants fan, perfect situation right now, because you just see, like, having that Cowboys pick before you, the player you want, like, they're not going to be taking that guy because they need defense right now. It's the last thing the Giants need. And right here, Giants, absolute no-brainer. They're going to go Devontae Smith here. Obviously, Heisman winner, as we talked about. Don't care about the weight at all. I think this is an absolute no-brainer. Why? You got Kenny Golladay right now, okay? Obviously, there's your big body receiver. You also have Darius Slayton on the other side of the field. Like, I just think that adding a Devontae Smith, I know Sterling Shepard's still there. Don't get me wrong. But, like, this is a Giants team that absolutely just needs all the offensive power they need, like, can get right now at this point. And like we said, I think Smith is just too good of a talent that they'll pick him at that spot. You know, similar thing to, like, that we've seen in years before the Giants. Like, and I was like, when they took Odell Beckham Jr. in 2014, like, I was actually a little surprised, you know, like, Victor Cruz hadn't gotten hurt yet. They still had like a pretty good receiving core, you know, at that time. Still chose to go with OBJ at that spot. So I could see it as a similar situation here with Smith. And if he ends up taking snaps away from Slayton, because Slayton started the year pretty good, fell off towards the end a little bit, then so be it. But I just think the talent is too good there for an offense that desperately needs help.
Wow, because I was immediately penciling in with the Eagles with Devontae Smith because they desperately need a wide receiver. Even though,
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Yeah, so like oh my God, you kind of just like now I have to think on the fly here.
I just messed everything up now, right?
Yeah, so yeah, exactly.
It's the NFC East. You know why? Because the Giants were mad that the Eagles threw away that game in Week 17, and they're saying, you know what? No. We're going to take this receiver from you just to spite you, okay? We don't even need one, but we're going to take him anyway.
I would have figured that they would have gone with someone like Rashawn Slater because they could put someone at or Darashaw because they need someone on the right side. They already have their left tackle and Andrew Thomas. Like, protecting Daniel Jones is paramount. So yeah, with this pick, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Eagles. Like, everything about them is like screams dumpster fire. They scream dumpster fire.
Oh yeah. Oh, the coach. I hate the whole situation.
I was, you know what the first thought I had about Sirianni when I saw the rock paper scissors thing? I just thought immediately, Jim Tom Sula. Hello, have you checked into Philly?
Oh my God. I mean, the press conference was. I felt bad for the guy, but just not the best.
No, it's awful. Meeting. Okay. So with this pick, I'm going to actually have the Eagles trading down. Because they could actually get a receiver much later. They could go after a linebacker like Owusu-Koramoah, or another cornerback for that matter. So I actually have the Raiders trading up with the Cardinals pick, which I'm pretty sure they got from Rodney Hudson. I think, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. Well, the Rodney Hudson, yeah, it was a second round.
Yeah. Do I want to? Okay, if I'm the Raiders, I guess giving up a second round pick next year is what is the price that I had to pay for this.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, along with this pick, let's see what this happens. Oh no, trade's not accepted. Well, you know what?
Wow,
well, you know what? I don't care. We're gonna brute force this. Let's go,
force
Oakland.
the trade.
Yeah, that's right. We're doing 2K up in this. Let's do it.
That's funny.
All right, Trey Lance, you're going to the Raiders.
Oh, there it is.
Wow.
All right, and we finally get it. John Gruden. We know he's always talked about how much he loves Derek Carr and all this, and obviously, as in your mind, that's not true.
You know what? I read this morning. I woke up. I saw that the Raiders, if Trey Lance or someone or Fields or someone like that drops out of the top 10, they would actually consider trading up for a quarterback. And we've seen surprise teams do this before. Out of nowhere, they trade up and then they draft a quarterback at this spot at around like the mid 10s. We've seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs are the paramount example of this. Yeah. I think they had like a 20 around that time, like a 20 pick somewhere in the first round. And then they trade all the way up and they get Patrick Mahomes. So you never know. If you love somebody, if you love a quarterback that's on the board, you have to do everything possible to go get him. Yeah, trade up, get that guy. And who knows, maybe you have Trey Lance sitting behind Derek Carr. And I know that's an uncomfortable situation, but you know what? Ryan Fitzpatrick has been through this over and over and over and over again. So I think Derek Carr can like handle having his potential replacement right behind him. But if you're Derek Carr, that means you got to prove yourself. You got to stake a claim as like, no, this is my team. But I think if you're the Raiders, you got to think for the future. And if it means having 1 year where Trey Lance is behind Derek Carr, it's worth it. Because I think out of all the quarterbacks in this draft, at least the ones that are going to be drafted in the first round, Trey Lance is the one that could definitely use like the 1 year of sitting behind a quarterback and studying under, because he has the talent, he has the skills, but he's definitely one of those quarterbacks that could definitely use like a year of tutelage.
Yeah, and I agree with you talking about like teams trading up randomly. Like, no, Chiefs fans didn't expect. They thought Alex Smith was going to be their quarterback for the next few years at least. Like, he was good enough where they were getting to the playoffs every year, even though they never went too far in the playoffs. So that's why, those surprise picks by teams where they just move up to like get a quarterback because they really believe in him. And if the Raiders really believe in him, then I wouldn't blame them for picking a quarterback. You can never have too many quarterbacks because at the end of the day, there's a short supply of quarterbacks. And there's a short supply of good quarterbacks, should I say. So now with the Chargers pick, I think this is an easy one because he's still on the board. I'm going to go with Rashawn Slater because they are looking for an offensive tackle. They are looking to find someone just like the Bengals are doing with Joe Burrow. They're looking to find an offensive tackle, lineman that will be with their quarterback, for the next 10 years that can really solidify that line. So I think this is really important for the Chargers to pick an offensive lineman. Justin Herbert, he had arguably the best. I mean, he did have the best rookie season for a quarterback ever. Like what he did was just mind blowing. Like you look at his stats, I just mind blowing how good he was his rookie year. Maybe he'll have a sophomore slump. Maybe he'll regress a bit. But if he does get even a little bit better, like he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the next 2 or 3 years. He could be it next year. Like if he stays on this trajectory, like what I saw from Justin Herbert, I was just shocked how good he was.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we weren't expecting. We all thought the Chargers took the wrong guy when the draft's happening. Obviously, everybody valued Tua over Herbert. In that situation, obviously the Dolphins were the pick before him. They couldn't do much. But yeah, I mean, obviously he was outstanding, and he was playing on a team that was just always found ways to lose, like unbelievable ways to. It was like watching like it's like watching a drama. And you're just like, you just don't know which way it's going to turn, but it's always going to end with a loss. So definitely kudos to Herbert there, and they definitely got to protect them. But moving on to the Vikings pick right here. Look, there's a team that didn't have Danielle Hunter last year. He had a bad neck injury. So that was a situation where he couldn't be on the field. They traded for Unique Ngakoue, and then they traded him away to the Ravens. So that was kind of like just changing of the guards there between who's going to be their edge rusher. Also, they lost Everson Griffin. So I know it's taken a long time to get to it, but this pick right here, I think they're going to be taking Kwity Paye, edge rusher, out of Michigan. So I just think that's an area where they really need to get back to their basics, because it was really weird seeing the Vikings last year. It was like one of the first times that all the injuries and all the problems, their defense really wasn't a solid unit, and they have been a solid unit for so many seasons now, anchored by obviously big names that we know, Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr. Now you add Patrick Peterson to that group of guys. Sorry, as a Cardinals fan, I was sorry to hear that, but I think edge rusher is a good place for them to go here, to go back into more of a pass rush situation that they haven't been in last year.
They could have gotten any other option. Like Dershot's still on the board, and they could definitely always, like with the Vikings, I'm just like always just assume that they need offensive line help anytime.
Yeah.
He's so like Kirk Cousins is like always constant stress. My God. I'm trying to think about what to do with the Patriots, because like now they don't have a quarterback to really go to. And if we know the Patriots through these years, we know that they love going for trade downs. They love it. Bill Belichick loves trading down so much. It's just like, he just wonders, why do I have this pick? Why do I keep getting this first round picks? I'm just going to keep trading them down all the time anyway. So I don't know. If you're the Pats, like the only other option that I could see remotely is them trading down to Miami. But like, I don't know. They're not going to trade with someone in the division. Are you kidding? Like,
yeah,
no one would do that.
It's the Patriots. If you feel like they've struggled with drafts recently, like their skill talent hasn't been great, but like it's Bill Belichick at the end of the day. Like I think he'll make the right decision, and they are in such an awkward spot because they're not high enough to get a quarterback, but they're also too low to get like one of those good players, like those good players at the top of the draft, the good skill players like Smith or Waddle. So they're probably in the worst spot possible for where they are. But I think trading down or finding someone that they like, because didn't last year they drafted like a Division II player or something?
Chin was in Carolina. Duggar, that's the guy.
Yeah. Drafted him in the first. So it's like they just like to find people that they like to find. They might find someone that no one expects them to take at that point,
I'm thinking to myself at this spot, I'm glaring at JC Horn, who is, I believe, the son of Joe Horn, the all-pro wide receiver. I think I'm going to go there for now just because I can't think of any other team that would trade up at this spot. I know teams will probably surprise you and wondering, because like the only other way I could see someone trading up is if either there's an edge rusher or an offensive tackle prospect that they really, really want.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like the Patriots are in an awkward spot with their team. Like they're not gonna win, it feels like, but they also need to like rebuild a lot. They're rebuilding for the first time in like 20 years. So I agree with that pick. Just get guys that are talented and just start to rebuild and then eventually you'll find your quarterback, hopefully. So now with the Cardinals, this one is
you don't hurt me. Don't hurt me here. Okay.
This one's
there's a lot of responsibility riding on you right now.
There's a lot. I'm putting my team in your trusted hands right now.
Okay. Because they need. I think they need more.
We need a couple of things.
They need a lot of things. But I think right now I think they need more defense. And I know they should probably go like a defensive back, but I'm actually gonna go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Wow.
I think he's like a super talent.
I wanted a corner.
Nope, not today. I just think he's like so talented. Like, I don't know, just getting another linebacker that's good, that can be a leader in your defense, especially with the Cardinals who just need. So I feel like their defense just is always struggling. It's been struggling for a few years. Like just get another talented player on your defense. It's not all about needs. I feel like if like he's the best player on the board, which I think right now he's the best player left right now, like just take him. So that's why I think the Cardinals should take him.
Yeah,
Wow.
and obviously, like I would have loved Horn in that spot, but assuming had the Pats take him before that pick, so that doesn't bother me, I guess, totally. And look, obviously, there's a team that lost Hassan Reddick too, the Carolina Panthers. He was dominant force at linebacker last year for us. So it definitely is something in an area they need. And Isaiah Simmons, it's gonna be a big step for him, so he can use some help too and some youth there.
All right, you have the Eagles spot. Where are we going here? Because they could go anywhere. Oh my God, there's so many possibilities, and everywhere which way it's possible that it's just going to end in a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's just like you said before, like this Eagles team, it's just very, very strange here. But with that being said, like they missed out on Devontae Smith, but here at 17, I think they still stick with receiver here because look, obviously my pick right here is going to be Rashad Bateman. Because like regarding in this situation we have here, they had to trade down because they wanted Devontae Smith, couldn't get him. But guess what? You trade down, you get some extra picks, and you still get a first round talent at receiver. I think that's an ideal situation. So that's the only thing. The only interesting thing is like we said before, like Sirianni is pretty much alluding to the fact that there's going to be this quarterback competition. With who though? Like with who at this point? Because I don't know. Like, are they really going to be able to grab like that? Obviously, I don't think they're really able to grab a first round quarterback. So then are you going to find another second round quarterback to battle with Hurts? It just doesn't make sense to me at that spot. I think Hurts is the guy. Just get at this moment in time, he's the guy. Get your receiver right now. Get him some help so you can really judge him. And that's why I like Bateman in this spot for Philadelphia.
I was staring very closely at what they could do because they could also get a corner. They could also beef up their offensive line because, as we saw last year, they couldn't protect Carson Wentz. But maybe that was mostly just because of injuries. And they do have a lot of their guys are coming back, like Brooks and Dillard are coming back.
Yep.
So maybe that's why they won't exactly address the offensive line yet, even though I feel like they should, just in case. You never know.
And this is a team, like, think about it. They had Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson were like coming back week 15, 16 and playing games for them. And now, guys, I thought those guys were like done. I forgot Alshon Jeffrey knew how to run, number one. And number two, Deshaun Jackson. I saw him breaking away for like a 70-yard touchdown against the Cowboys. I was like, dude, I forgot this guy was on the team. Like, I just forgot about those names totally, and they're starting. And so I think that they need receiver help too, for sure.
There's also a possibility that pick turns into another Jalen Reagor. Just like not the receiver we wanted, but I guess we'll take him. And by the way, just with Deshaun Jackson, we're going to see Jimmy. We're going to see a lot of just Deshaun Jackson this season. He's going to
he'll be reborn in Los Angeles.
he's going to be the new Brandon Cooks on that team. That's going to be great. Which means funny. He's probably not going to be on the field for half the season though.
That's probably what you're alluding. Yep. That's exactly right.
All right. For Miami, now that they have the 18th pick, I was so prepared. I wanted them to trade up and find a way to trade up to get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Here's why. That defense, the way that Flores' defense works, it's very similar. It's a very hybrid, flexible kind of defense. You see a lot of different kinds of players, and they do different types of schemes on that defense. And it showed the last year, that defense was so good for like a stretch. They convincingly defeated the Rams. And this is a defense that was so good, so impressive. They have Xavier Howard, who put up an all-pro season. They have guys like Van Ginkel and Van Ginkel, whatever. I just
what a name. That's the most football name ever. Like you don't name someone Van Ginkel, like, and not have him throw on some pads to play.
Right. Yeah, come on. Van Ginkel, like that sounds like a 1940s football name.
Literally.
That's true.
All right. So with Miami, I feel like look at who's still on the board, and they're just like, how is this guy still here? Let's take Christian Darrisaw. let's help Tua Tagovailoa. Let's save him and make sure that he's upright so that he could prove to everybody why the Dolphins picked him at where they picked him, why they picked him over Herbert. Let's prove it. Let's get this done. I want time so that my guy can find Jalen Waddle down the field and get that touchdown. So that's why with Darashaw, they can really get some help there. Honestly, with Miami, they can also trade down here in this spot too, because you never know. Like I love this Miami front office. I love what Chris Greer is doing. This team is unpredictable, but in the good way, because I don't know what they're scheming, but whatever they're scheming, it seems they have an idea. They know what they want to do with those picks. I'm really happy with this. And man, I can't wait to see what this Miami team does.
Yeah, Miami just has been looking so good. Since since Brian Flores got there, he just like has really instilled a mindset in them, and like they've gathered a bunch more talent. They just look like a way better team than they have in the past few years. So now with the Washington football team, I think they need a tackle. So I'm gonna go with Elijah Vera Tucker. It's weird because they have like a few quarterbacks that might start this year. Fitzpatrick, that guy that in the playoffs who just came.
Taylor Heineken.
Yeah, I forgot his name. He
went toe to toe with Tom Brady.
I know he could
give him the best fight possible. Out of all the quarterbacks in the playoff run, he gave Tom Brady the greatest fight.
He did. And that's why with their situation, like they're in a good situation, because even though they don't have like the quarterback, like a solidified quarterback that they really trust in, they do have talented guys that might fill in that role, but also they have a good head coach and they have a good defense. So adding an offensive tackle, which is another piece they need. I think if Vera Tucker is good, he's going to help whoever gets that role eventually, keeps them safe from getting hits all the time.
You know what? I'll say this though about Washington. That's another team that I thought could trade up. And they honestly, I talked about with Jimmy. I thought about this trade like a little while ago. It was a 3-team trade where Sam Darnold goes to I keep saying Las Vegas. Derek Carr goes to Washington, and Washington gives their 19th pick to the New York Jets. And just because when you look at this team, they have the best front seven in the league. They have They have great skill position players. They have Logan Thomas. They have Terry McLaurin, who is honestly at this point I would consider a top 15 receiver at this point. And they have Antonio Gibson, who showed so much promise in that season. Why not go after and try to finish it all up? Get the quarterback that you want that can help at least elevate you, keep you in playoff contention, potentially rule over the NFC East, which at the moment doesn't look good. Anybody could win it, honestly. But I think out of all the teams in the NFC East, it's Washington's the most prepared. They have the most talent, per se, and they're the most cohesive. And I can't wait to see what happens with this, but I love this pick too, because I do agree with you, like protecting Ryan Fitzpatrick. Anyway, he's a treasure, by the way. Protect him. He is important. We need to keep him safe, because if he is, we need to make sure that he is ready to go to the next team, wherever he may go.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe it's Philly. I don't know.
Yeah. You got to make sure you keep the beard safe. Moving on to Chicago, though, I was thinking, I'm a big fan of Caleb Farley, but I think you're going to go with the hometown kid, Greg Newsome here from Chicago. Look, this is a team that just lost Kyle Fuller. And I think Newsome is pretty similar, guy to fill in, same kind of build, 6 feet tall, about 200 pounds. And also some similarities too to Kyle Fuller, had some trouble staying on the field as well. But look, I think this guy's a pretty good corner. He shows good makeup ability. If he gets beat on any route and stuff. And, we all knew Chicago as that vaunted defense a couple of years ago, but they haven't been really they haven't lived up to that standard in recent memory. Obviously, the bad quarterback play hasn't helped at all. But like I said, with the loss of Fuller going to Denver, This is definitely a position they need in this spot. I was thinking about a trade down, but I don't think, I think Chicago, like Ryan Pace, I feel like they're a team that they're always going to be focused on defense. And if that's a role to fill, they'll definitely take Newsome at that spot.
Beefing up defense is important.
Yeah.
I also think that's God. I was always thinking like, man, they could also just like trade down, or I don't know how far down they are, but that's a team that could definitely is looking to pick a quarterback at some way, shape, or form this year. I'm just gonna try to sprint through this because
they got their franchise quarterback and Andy Dalton. What are you talking about?
Red Rifle, hero of the Buffalo Bills. All right. I'm going to try to speed this along. So let's go. Yeah. I'm going to pick Elijah Moore. The Colts need receivers. Let's just skip the formalities. Let's get them someone for Carson Wentz to throw to. They have depth all across the rest of the team. Let's go.
So for the Titans, I'm going to pick Caleb Farley. They need another defensive back. He's one of the best in the draft, and they really want to just shore up that defense a bit.
Yeah. So I guess, obviously, I mean, I just remember the playoffs, just that defense finding ways to just get burned by Lamar Jackson, who I don't even think he's a great player. I don't think he's a great quarterback, in my opinion. But that's a debate for another day. So that's definitely a good pick there. Moving on to the Jets too. I think this is a team that is also looking to create a new identity. As we know, they just got Zach Wilson with that first pick. And I see a lot of teams, they just try to, when they have 2 first-round picks, they usually go 1 defense, 1 offense. So I'm going to go defense here. Trayvon Moehrig, safety at TCU. They just franchise tag Marcus May. So they're not necessarily sure what the long-term situation is going to be there. Why not take Moehrig at that spot there, really shore up the secondary for a team that's going to be dealing with some tough players with Stephon Diggs and as we have here in this draft, Waddle within the AFC East.
Wow, it is shocking because considering like they have both May and McDougald, but I see where you're going with that because you never know. And also the sheer irony of a safety being picked with the Seahawks pick.
And May and his agent, there's been tension between them and the Jets before, via social media. I've seen some stuff on Twitter. So you just don't know if he's going to be there long term.
If you're Pittsburgh, you got to go offensive tackle. Walker Little here.
Yep.
Keep Ben safe. He's getting up there.
In the last ride.
Is it really the last ride? We have no idea.
I think so.
With Ben, we have no idea. We have he's either, I'm going to retire. No, I'm not going to retire. He's very, very
sometimes in the middle of the season, he says he's going to retire.
Why even say something?
I don't understand him sometimes.
All right.
So with the Jaguars, I'm going to go Tevin Jenkins because I think matching a tackle with Trevor Lawrence, you'll have those 2 young players ready to be together for a long time. Hopefully, if Tevin Jenkins is good in the NFL and if Trevor Lawrence is, then that'll be a good duo going forward. So now the Browns.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, am I the Browns or?
Yeah, you're the Browns.
Oh, I was so confused. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
I was like, wait, I was like looking at the Ravens pick. So Cleveland. So I think looking at this right now, I was all prepared for the Ravens. They got edge rushers, obviously, with Clowney and Myles Garrett. And maybe another area they could possibly go to is maybe corner. I mean, like, obviously
their secondary was awful last year, so that would make sense.
Like Denzel Ward's there, but they have had injuries there too, and it's a secondary with Andrew Sendejo starting there too. Now, obviously, Samuel wouldn't play safety, but I'd go Asante Samuel at this spot. They're looking for the most bang for their buck, and it's a team that's super physical on the ground, and they're trying to match out that blue collar defense, and he could help. And obviously, a pretty good DNA within that family.
It's kind of shocking how much Christian Barmore has fallen this far down. kind of shocking to see that.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I was thinking like he could go to Cleveland, but I was like, nah, well, I guess not. If you're Baltimore, you already have Marquise Brown, you already have Sammy Watkins, but
Yep.
I'm trying to decide between picking either Terrence Marshall or Dylan Radins. Because at tackle, you're dealing with the fact that Ronnie Stanley's coming back from a major injury. I don't know what the situation with Orlando Brown is. I heard that he wasn't happy and he wanted to be a left tackle or something.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so maybe you want to prepare just in case you need to trade Orlando Brown. Dalton.
Wow. So they're just going all in on the run game, just all in.
Why
they
not?
don't even. It's like it's pretty accurate to how they think. Like they don't even want to try to throw the ball. Apparently.
Yeah. So now with the Saints, I'm gonna go Terrence Marshall Jr. because they could use the second wide receiver next to Michael Thomas, even though right now they're not really a luxury of a wide receiver. I would say is because they can't afford that because they don't have a quarterback really. If you trust in Jameis Winston, which I don't know if I do, that's going to be interesting. It's always weird when you don't have the right quarterback. Having another wide receiver might not really help you that much. But I think if they do eventually find that quarterback, or if Jameis actually does take that leap, then he'll be a good person to be on the other side with Michael Thomas.
Yeah, so the Packers here. I was obviously thinking Marshall because the Packers are a receiving core where it's Devontae Adams and a couple of guys that aren't near on the same level as him, or even a decent number 2, in my opinion. But with Christian Barmore still staring me in the face, I think they got to go with him here. Look, Kenny Clark is a fantastic interior defensive lineman. But with that being said, I know they got guys like Rashawn Gary, Darius Smith as well, but I mean, at this pick, you just see a guy at that, at that level. It's just way too good a value of pick to skip out on. The Packers, they're an old school franchise. I don't really see them trading down, trading up. And as we know, we've seen with the pick with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love recently, like if the best player for their team, they're going to be taking at that position.
First running backs off the board, Travis Etienne.
There he is.
There you go.
You got to take it. I know that they have Singletary. I know they have Zach Moss, but none of them have the talent that Etienne has. And I feel like with Buffalo, they could really benefit from someone that could catch passes from the backfield. That's someone like add another wrinkle. You know that Josh Allen can go deep. You know that he can make all these kinds of throws, but like it's good to have a nice safety blanket. They don't really have a tight end talent, but you could start off by getting a good running back.
Okay, so with the Chiefs pick, I'm going to go Samuel Cosme, who's a tackle. And he is someone that they really need because they've just lost, like, it seems all their offensive linemen, whether the injuries or guys, retiring. So I'm going to pick him because they could really use another tackle.
Yeah, and obviously the big question marks are Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher if they're coming back. So now we got the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think I was debating if they were gonna go with Jason Awe here, but I think I'm gonna. I had this one written down. Oh wait, you took. Oh wait, no, you didn't take. I'll take Gregory Rousseau out of Miami. I think that's a better pick for them in that spot. Obviously they locked up Shaquille Barrett long term. JPP though, like you definitely want to start grooming some more edge defenders there. And this is a team that's obviously still built to win now. So why not get more rotational defensive pass rushers? Because JPP, don't get me wrong, phenomenal, but we know he could be a little injury prone at times too. So I like him from Miami right there.
That's like one of those guys that they're probably going to trade out. Like at around this time and this point in the draft, in the first round, at the very least, you're going to see like a handful of teams trade up, whether if try to get someone like an edge rusher or wide receiver, try to like basically jump over people.
Yeah.
So that was good. I'm really glad that we got this done. I'm really happy. I think I accidentally set it so that it's round 7, so I'll just do this all over again, make sure I remember like what exactly we traded for with all that stuff.
Okay.
But in some way, shape, or form, we know exactly, like with this, I'll just like repeat it to memory. This was good. This was fun. It really was. I love this. I love the draft because we get to try to predict like where players are going to go. Like the wildest and craziest thing that can and could happen, whether if it's Oakland. Why do I keep doing that? It's like the 3rd time I've done this. Las Vegas. Oh my God. Get out of here, please. Oh my God.
I mean, even Gruden had the hat on the sideline that one game that said Oakland. So you're not the only one.
All right. So you have a couple of like major trades that could happen. You never know. Like with all these like quarterbacks moving around, all the stuff. You never know. There could be a 6th quarterback that's drafted in the first round this year. You never know with any of this stuff. Like, I'm shocked that like Kyle Trask is like falling off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I totally forgot he existed. And this guy was one of the best quarterbacks in D1. He looked like one of the best, but for some reason, no one really has him high.
Yeah, and then you look at some other guys, like other quarterbacks like we could look into is Kellen Mond. I heard a lot of guys are really kind of excited for Kellen Mond. That's someone who could be a quarterback from the mid round that could step up at any time. You never know with all this stuff. And this class is very interesting. I want to look forward. When we look 5 years from now, this draft is going to be historic to me because we're going to look into all the trades that happened before, all the trades that are going to happen during the draft, and then all the quarterbacks, wherever they land, whatever quarterback that the 49ers pick, whatever quarterback where the other guys pick after San Francisco. You never know. And that's the beauty of the draft is the uncertainty, and trying to figure it all out and then seeing what ends up happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously we didn't even get a chance to talk about it, but obviously guys like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, like I'm just excited, just thinking about like that first preseason action, just like seeing those guys and like how the situations are going to work out there. It's a great point you bring up of how historic it's going to be because we just went through a list of one of the best receiver classes we've seen in so long. And like, we just did it without even like thinking about the first 2 picks who might be fantastic quarterbacks that could possibly change around franchises like the Jaguars and the Jets. So a lot of cool things going to be happening from this.
Yeah. And that's one other thing. Like how often do you have the first 3 picks definitely be quarterbacks taken? Like that's one thing that just doesn't happen very often. Like you have potentially like 5 or 6 starters in this draft for quarterbacks just in like the first round. So that's why it's like, it is really crazy how different this draft is compared to many of the previous years.
All right, guys. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, I was just agreeing with him.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for popping onto this podcast. I really appreciate it. Let the people know how they can reach out to you and what you've been up to.
Guys, you're definitely going to want to continue to follow HSP Network. We got a bunch of new content coming out right now. Third Floor Lounge podcast in full swing. Just had an awesome NBA episode where we're talking about the wizardry of Steph Curry, the unbelievable stuff he's doing. So, guys, don't forget to check us out on HSP Network on YouTube, Instagram. Also follow me on my Instagram, Jimmy Scalia 42, my Twitter @_JA41_ and check out all the stuff we got coming out. And I'm excited. We got NBA playoffs coming up soon. And I'm also excited to see what else you got in store too, Susumu.
I'm looking to get my buddy Tom DiBenedetto over eventually to talk some quarterbacks because I want to. It's almost like a yearly tradition. The last time I had him right around this time, we got to break down Joe Burrow, what made him special heading into the draft. Tua, Justin Herbert. We got to cover almost everybody because this guy covers it all, covers everything. We're hoping. Yeah. I'm hoping to get something recorded sometime this weekend or Monday, but the hope is that there will be there's going to be a podcast up regarding all the quarterbacks and breaking down what makes all of them special.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that. I'm excited.
Definitely.
All right. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Check out this podcast, the SusTalk podcast on Spotify, Apple Pods, and Anchor.fm. I really appreciate everyone for listening and have a wonderful day.